Mr. Ugaga Talks. I want to appreciate you so much for this invitation, and I also want to thank the organizers. These kind of meetings are rare, and having one of such happening here today tells a lot about where we are going as a nation and also as a state. We need to learn to institutionalize our passion. A lot of us, we grow up and then we discover that we don't like something that's happening in one part of society, right? I don't like something that's happening maybe concerning children or concerning unemployment or something. And then we take up that passion and we begin to start a movement around that. But for many people, it stops with that movement, because if you don't build an institution around that movement, it will die when you are tired. Most likely, you are advised, okay, if you want to start a business, you need to look for the need, right? You need to look for the needs that the people have. Sadly, that is no longer the case. Because if you did a little study of economics, I'm going somewhere, you discover that the need is not enough when you want to start a business. Hello? It's not enough to just say, okay, there is a need here. So because there is a need here, that means it's going to be a very successful business. Because of another concept that they call demand. Now, what's the difference between demand and need? Who can tell us? Let's interact as a forum.
Demand is actually a need backed by purchasing power.
Beautiful. Please put your hands together for this man. Let's assume a community is called Nuna Community in Wari or Asaba or wherever. It tells you that if people are dying of malaria in that community, please listen. If people are dying of malaria in that community, or people are not able to access qualitative education in that community, or people are having housing issues in that community, capital will not gravitate to that community to create a solution. After they've identified that problem, the capitalist mindset, which a lot of us have, I'm going somewhere, will first of all look, okay, since we've identified that in this Nuna community there's shortage of housing, there's shortage of qualitative education or healthcare, the next question will now be, if we decide to settle, what will be the solution to maybe healthcare issue? What will be the solution? What should be the response? Maybe building a hospital or a healthcare facility, right? Now, when the people decide that, okay, there is a problem like that in that community, and then the solution we need to take there is an healthcare facility, the next question they will ask themselves is, if we set up a healthcare facility in this community, let's do a study of the demography. Do they have enough income, like what my brother called it, purchasing power? Let's assume that after treatment you pay 6K. Will they be able to afford it? If they decide that after all the study they will not be able to afford it, they will not set up the hospital in that community. That project will be taken to another community where they think the need exists, and then the purchasing power also exists. So, I know you may want to think about that and feel like, man, that is wickedness, right? That is a type of organization. If you are setting up a business, you are setting up the business to provide solution and also make profit from it. So it is because of the fact that the study of that type of organization and the way that type of organization impacts on society, that's what validates the type of leaders that we have in this room today. Are you getting the point? That's what validates, because what we have in this room today, majorly, we have a lot of social impact leaders. Are we social impact leaders? So we have a lot of social impact leaders. The social impact leader functions with another paradigm. If a social impact leader studies like what Mr. Ogaga talks, does a lot of time, I see a lot of his works, you discover that you went to a community and you have a lot of children in school who are not wearing shoes, they are not going with bags, they don't have writing materials. His heart is moved to respond. If it was a typical capitalist mindset, When you go and study the problem, the question exists. If I want to solve this problem, how much will I make from it? That's how a capitalist thinks, because I'm going to have to mobilize maybe #1 million and put it, to create a solution and take it to the community where the need is. If I do that, how much will I get in return? After solving the problem, maybe 1.4 million should come back. So we say 4 million is the reward for the initiative that I took. But we have another type of leadership. And I am establishing that fact because all of us need to understand it. Listen, we have a lot of NGOs in Africa, but many of them don't understand this difference. That's why we have sabotaged that type of institution. I have seen leaders of NGOs who they are in it for what is in it for me. And if we want to drive change across Africa, we cannot achieve it with that kind of mindset. So you need to understand the difference clearly. And if you think you are not meant for this part, out. If you think you are not meant for this part, please put your hands up. Hello? If you have studied like I've given you the difference, if you have studied and you have seen that this is what leadership in this climate entails, you have to just decide that this place is not for me. Because if you don't make that decision early, as you advance in the direction of discussion that has been going on, it is more likely you will be corrupted. Because as a social impact leader, your major focus, your activities and everything you are doing is about how it will benefit others. It is how it will solve social problems. It's how it will improve society, even if nothing comes back to you. I've been in this game for a long time and I can tell you, there's some kind of money we spend on projects. If you check our account, it's not there. As a social impact leader, you must understand that it's not about you. It's about the people you are called to serve. It's about the people you are targeting to solve problems for. And majority of your actions and your initiative is how to benefit them. You discover that alone you cannot do much. Am I right? Alone you are limited. You cannot really sustain your impact. You cannot scale your impact if you have a soloist mentality. So one of the critical things that people who want to make impact must learn to do is how to build a team and set up a leadership that can drive that impact that you want to make across the sector. And as an organization that is Africa-centric, Africa-focused, we need to be thinking about whatever solution that we develop in Asaba. We want to see it run across Africa. And to do that, team leadership is very important. Now, what is a team? I think team leadership comprises 2 keywords there, so I just want to emphasize on very few things. Now, we talked about team. Team is simply a group of people who come together, perform interdependent tasks in order to accomplish a common goal. One of the key things in team is that what all of us are trying to achieve is a common goal. If we cannot agree on that, then there becomes a division. So team is where a group of people, that is, you may have started a movement around educating the girl child. You may have started a movement around, what movement are you leading? Access to health or access to finance for female entrepreneurs, or access to competence for people who are in business who cannot afford the fees of the big business schools and all that. Whatever problem you are trying to solve, you discover that if we want to advance this solution across the world, then we need a team around that. We need to build a team together. And there are some critical elements that you must understand about team. And I will emphasize this because in Africa, we like to work alone. That's why we have a lot of sole proprietorships. And we prefer to just stay that way. But other parts of the world, it's just easy to see 3 people just come together. And they just come as co-founders and do things. So these are integral issues that we need to deal with in our mindset. Apart from government, individuals have a lot to do. Do you know you can build houses that can be housing over 3 million people across Africa? An NGO. I want us to start thinking in this direction. Because if we start thinking about positional leadership alone, a lot of us will be feeling like, let me wait for their turn. Let me wait for their turn. Instead of doing things that you can do right now. For instance, a lot of the fight around malaria in Africa is done by an NGO. What's the name of the institution? Rotary. Rotary is not the biggest name in that fight. Malaria. Melinda Gates, Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. So that is the realm I'm talking from. Somebody set up that institution, and that institution has been active in the fight against what is happening to children as relates to malaria. How do we build effective institutions like that, solving problems around healthcare, problems around real estate or housing deficit, solving problems around education, solving problems around even farmers able to access seedlings? That will eventually solve the problem of drought that we are facing. Problems around global warming and different things. NGOs, if you study other part, these are the kind of things they are doing. They don't only shout. They don't only raise awareness. They take initiative to build institutions that will drive those conversations and drive those initiatives. And let me tell you the truth. The same way other movements attract donations. If you study America, you see it a lot. There are a lot of people who are also interested in not just sponsoring girl child, they are also interested in solving housing deficits across Africa. If you tell them you want to build a house for 50 people who are not living, they are homeless, they will be able to donate to it. So, am I making sense? So, it is how to build teams that will drive this kind of movement and leadership that will drive this kind of movement across Africa, which I believe will lead to the transformation, because even government is overwhelmed. They are overwhelmed. So that's why we need to build institutions that will become even as powerful as government. So when Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation comes to Africa, we go to welcome them. It's not a government institution. Are you catching the vision? It's not a government institution. It is an NGO, it's a non-government organization. But even government acknowledges the role they are playing when it comes to healthcare in the whole of Africa. And we must be able to strengthen ourselves to build those type of institutions for ourselves. So think about the problem, yes, but then identify the passion that you have to solve that specific type of problem. And then, like I said, move ahead also to build a team around that. Now, when you are building a team around a mission, make sure that that value system is in place first. Tell your neighbor, value system. Value system. If you bring somebody who thinks like a capitalist into a social impact conscious organization, it will not work. Because as things, that is one of the reasons why it doesn't work. And like I told you, it's not wrong, they are different. So if you are selecting a team for whatever mission you want to drive, whatever cause you want to drive, ensure that you are picking people that have the social impact orientation. These are the people that know that 10 million is there, but they want to put their 200 in addition. Not the one that said 10 is there, now what can we do and how much should we drop? You understand the question? No, you don't understand. You are not that type of it. Alright, so you need to understand that. Please know the people you are selecting when you want to build a team. If their heart is not beating for it, if their consciousness is not towards the problem they want to solve, and the people to whom they want to solve those problems, if you form alliance with them, it will not work. And that has frustrated a lot of missions. Whether it's government institution you are leading or purely non-government institution, it's the same thing. You must have like minds so that we don't spend bulk of the time arguing about which initiatives, because even when you are setting up initiatives, the initiatives that you are developing, the initiative, the idea is so that you can appeal to the conscience of people, get their response, and then you are fine. It's really not about the people. So you need to really have that in place. And then leadership, if I tie it to what he has already said, when you are putting a leadership in place, you must put a leadership that is result-oriented. Leadership that is result-oriented. If we say We want to take 300 children out of the streets. That's what we want to do. Hello? So it's very, very key that you put all those things into place. Now, when you want to transform that into an effective team building and then institutional development, when I talk about institutional development, which is what I'm really concerned about, I'm talking about I like to feed children. And then I'm working at it. I'm feeding my 10, feeding my 20. Then 3 people came and joined me, and then we increased it to 100. And then now we are getting everybody to rally their support around that movement. Doing it like that is the first level. You must be able to institutionalize it. So that even if you go to Ghana for 3 weeks or 3 years, the organization will still be running. Because there is a team that is still driving that mission. And there's an organization that is organizing all the activities from identifying the people that need the solution, to the people that are going to give to that cause, to the people that are going to be working to do the distribution. All of that is why you hear that an organization has lasted for 50 years. Not because somebody was passionately trying to solve a problem. So from passion to solve the problem, you must build the institution that will also help you to sustain that part. And to do that, I will connect it again because I was here during the time. You articulate the vision of the organization. So whatever you want to achieve, you must articulate it so that achieving that shared vision will be clear. I like to attract people through the vision, not just talking. So meaning people see it and that's why they came. There are a lot of us who are members of Revive Africa Initiative. You came because you like the idea. You believe in the idea of Revive Africa Initiative and that's why you are here. So the vision must be clear. You articulate the vision of the organization, what you want to build. I know we are fast-stretched. I like to do workshops. So if not that we are taking a lot of lectures, you put your book on the ground. You tell me the organization you are leading. If your vision for the organization you are leading is not clear yet, you will start doing it. Yes, that's the one that works. But most time we just talk, say it's an idea. Okay? So you have to articulate that vision. And then if you are leading a team, let's say for example, you are not the pioneer. So the vision was not generated by you. Then you must discover it. You must discover it. You must learn and discover it. Then after you have articulated the vision, you need to develop a value system or an organizational structure. Because of where I want to wrap up. I'm just connecting to what we said before. You develop an organizational structure or the value system. The value system includes what I earlier said. Because we are going to employee management. If you don't have these things in place, it's people just come into the organization with everything they are thinking. There's nothing that is guiding the way we think. Sometimes if you tell people your stand, they give you a chance. Like, I don't fit here. And that's one of the reasons why you are doing this. So you have to define what the culture is for the organization. The culture that will effect the transformation from the problem you have to the solution you are already seeing. And then you also talked about a planned course of action. Your strategy to solve the problem, you also have to make it plain. Hello? When you are building an organization, it's not only this is the problem. You already have an idea of some of the things we are going to be doing as an organization to solve that problem. Once you have these 3 things in place, recruiting a team or building a team becomes easy. Because when you want to get people into your team or you want to get volunteers for whatever you are doing, you must run them through these things. It is in running people through these things that they identify if they are fit for what you want to do or they are fit for something else. Not because they are bad people, but they just discover that my heart is not really beating for this thing you are driving. There are some people that no matter what you say, this is not their thing. There are some people that the moment they see you on Facebook or they see what you are writing, they just identify with the work. Whether it's a work that's related to advocacy around a more balanced society, whether it's an advocacy around maybe solving home deficits for the poor, or different things, whatever that thing is, you need to define them and then put it together. So the strategy is there, the vision is clear, and then the culture is also clear. And that's why you discover even in some big organizations, when you're trying to come in, they run you through a program. They help you to go through it. You know why? In conclusion, remember what I told you. We are living in a society where you need money to solve your problem. And then your heart is also beating to solve a problem for people that will not benefit you. So even if you have trained yourself a lot to keep that mindset, these orientations and continuous training helps you to keep yourself in check. So you take them through that orientation, and then that orientation keeps the people's minds focused on what the organization is doing specifically. Now, when it comes to employee management, I will wrap up on that point. It's the same process as every organization. First of all, you need to understand the roles, the people you need, volunteers rather. Not everybody can volunteer to a cause. If you start accepting everybody, especially and trying to drive them into core areas, and their heart does not knit with the mission or the cause that organization is trying to solve, it will be a problem eventually. So as much as possible, you must be able to put these things plain that I've just spoken about, so that when you are talking and interacting with people who are interested, because what is interesting you, what is attracting you to the organization must be this thing that has been clearly stated. This is what we want to do. This is how we are going to do it. And you feel like I identify with this. That's what brings the people closer. So it is based on that you recruit people in as your volunteers. And then when they come into the system, ensure you do trainings. Ensure you give an orientation. One of the practical things you can do, you should have a document that contains a lot of this stuff we just spoke about, that people can study and understand what your mission is about and what the organization is doing specifically. You need to have that document. Organizations in business, they call it an employee handbook. In non-profits also, you need to have that kind of document, whether it's a profile or whatever, that everybody that is coming to vie or come to volunteer in the organization must have gone through that, and then they feel like this is what I really want to do for myself. And like I said, thirdly, ensure you put in steady trainings on ground. Trainings must be going on, because through training we improve as individuals. And then next to that, you need to engage the people. You need to engage them. Your vision says this is what you want to do. Your vision already spells out the strategy you want to use to achieve it. And then there are initiatives that you must have also put in place. Ensure that the volunteers that are working in that organization are always engaged in that initiative. And then they should be trained enough to a level where they can even begin to lead the initiative. After going through certain training, they can be sent to do some aspect of that vision at a certain level. As they engage and take actions in those directions, it helps them to develop even their own capacity. If you have chosen this part, know that this part is different from the other parts. And then you cannot achieve much alone. So you must learn how to bring people into whatever you are doing. And we are bringing them into what you're doing. Ensure that their hearts are beating for what you are trying to build. And then, of course, take little steps to try whatever solutions. Remember, the solutions you think will work, some of them will need to be innovated on. But as you are doing it, the first time, the second time, you keep doing it, you become better at whatever you are called to do as an organization. Thank you so much.